Run It Studios is the home of the Run Radio podcast and runradio.net, a podcast and station about the relentless, resilient, and innovative types, inspiring strides in life, business, and beyond. Welcome back to the Run Radio podcast. My name's Trina Wilcox, and my guest today likes to talk about many of the things we like to talk about here: entrepreneurship, self-publishing, business overall, fear, resilience, fitness, health, so much more. So I welcome to our podcast today, Fitz. How do you pronounce your last name?
Fitz Koehler. Fitz Koehler.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I love talking about running. My runners, and I do take ownership, are some of my favorite people and things in the world.
I mean, I always consider running to be like the great teacher. You know, it teaches us all things in life: endurance, patience, understanding, so many things.
Determination,
Yes.
Discipline, perspective. Absolutely. It's funny how many people think it's just about going the distance or even winning.
Yeah.
Golly, ever since I left elementary school, I've never actually tried to win any sort of race. I just, go the distance and benefit in so many ways because of it. But yeah, running is a gift.
So a healthy lifestyle has kind of been a norm for you growing up. Kind of like me, I was always encouraged to be active, do what you can, modify what you can't do to a way that you can do. And you've been involved with even teaching fitness since you were like a teenager.
Correct.
So how has that been for you? Was it ingrained in you, or was it just something you were drawn to?
Yeah, what's so interesting is sports were ingrained with us. I mean, I grew up, and by the time I was 4, I had a ball at my foot and I was cheering and I was playing t-ball, and I did all the sports. I was a speed skater, for crying out loud. I mean, we did everything. My older siblings were really good at sports and I was really mediocre. In fact, I rode the bench on a bunch of my soccer teams and I got cut from a bunch of other teams. I just really love sports. I love the team thing. I loved wearing a uniform. It was a real great source of pride. However, fitness wasn't necessarily something that was preached. It was a sidebar to what we were doing, a consequence, but we weren't a fitness focused family, and the eating wasn't always very great. In fact, by the time I hit college, I was a bit overweight. I'm 40 pounds less now than I was in my freshman year at college, but I started teaching fitness when I was 14. I had knee surgery, blew it out playing soccer, went to rehab. After surgery, went to rehab, and that physical therapist, thank goodness, before he released me, he told my mom, he said, you should get her to join a gym. If she doesn't continue strength training, she will re-injure this knee. And so my mom lied, and she got me a member at Spa Lady in South Florida. She said I was 15 or 16. I was only 14 at the time. And thanks, Mom. And I started working out. I loved it. And I had learned a lot during physical therapy that I was able to transfer over to the actual workout part of the gym. And then I started taking classes. Loved that. And I thought the instructors were really cool. And I loved their leotards and their leg warmers. And I was so impressionable. But I was working at Cinnabon and it was just complete opposite of what I do now. But thank goodness that manager, Ronnie, she was a real hag. She was so mean. And so I got sick of her and I quit Cinnabon and I applied at the gym and they interviewed me on a Tuesday night. And I remember the manager, Chris, saying, do you take classes? I said, yeah. He said, can you teach one? I said, well, I'd like to try. He said, how about Friday night? And so thank goodness I'm a gamer. I said, okay. And I practiced in my mirror in my bedroom and I showed up Friday night. I winged it. I taught a class and it went really well and they hired me. And, so goes this incredible career committed to helping people live better and longer by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. It's what I loved to do back then. It was where my siblings were great at sports. I was actually talented teaching fitness, and it's such a passion of mine, and it makes me so happy. So yeah. I'm so grateful.
I'm glad you found it early. I wish, and maybe it's changing, but I feel like if we were taught the confidence aspect younger instead of the running's a punishment and all of the things that should be encouraged to build that confidence, because when you do start working out kind of on your own and there isn't that, oh my gosh, is everybody looking and laughing? You really start to build some confidence and that strength radiates. So, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think you're spot on. And, where does it go from as kids where we get to run? They let us outside and we get to run
Mhm.
versus we have to run.
Yeah.
And I actually have a large school running program. It's called the Morning Mile. And I think I started in 2011. I have over 400 schools going worldwide, but it's 30 minutes before school in the morning where every child is invited every single day. So there are other running programs like only girls or only this type of kid. Well, I want my corporate mission statement, my personal mission statement is to tack 10 years of quality life onto everyone I come across. And so I want everybody in that net. When I work, I'm casting a wide net as big as possible so I can help as many people as possible. So as opposed to nitpicking who can run, I say, y'all come. And so at these schools, school starts at 8. They run the program between 7:15, 7:45. It's free for the kids. It's free for the schools. The corporate sponsors take care of funding the program. But yeah, some of my morning mile programs have 100 to 300 participants every day. That includes parents, teachers, bus drivers, faculty, administrators, and it's mass impact. Some of these elementary schools put up close to 30,000 miles every year. So I am a huge proponent of running and walking. I want that to
Yeah.
be as loud and proud because, those are the things that innately most of us know how to do unless we have an anomaly or a disability. And we get those kids moving too. And it requires little equipment and it's fun. So yes, I agree. Walking, running is this so beneficial. And if you do it, if you start your day, it turns on your brain, it clears your mind, it reduces stress, it sets you up for success, it makes you a better friend, a better lover, a better employee, a better boss. Everything in your life can be turned up, not upside down. It can be turned right side up if you start your day on the move.
I agree. And you've made it your business. So let's talk about how the fitness has impacted the way you structure your work life.
Yeah, fitness. And you know what? I mean, there's my work. Are we talking about me as a professional, how I squeeze in fitness, or how I encourage other people to?
Both. I want to know it all.
Okay. All right. So personally, someone asked me on Instagram the other day, I have these little Monday where I say, ask me anything, and people sending questions. And one of them said, how do you stick with eating healthy and exercising? And I mean, golly, I feel terrible when I don't, right? If
Hmm.
I have a day where I don't have any produce, for example, I start to feel yucky. If I have 2 days where I don't move, everything starts to hurt. I get squirmy. So I know my body needs exercise and my body needs healthy food and I want those things and they're habitual. So I went from a bulimic who was overweight and had really bad habits to a girl who now thrives on the good stuff. And so I'm living proof that it is something. If you're out there thinking, well, I hate vegetables or I hate strength training. Okay, fine. You can get there too. It's a learned
Yeah.
skill. So I'm very fortunate when I'm not on the road announcing races or doing keynote presentations. I'm at home. I get to structure my own day. So I strength train every other day, come hell or high water. Strength training is the fountain of youth. It's a secret to resiliency. If you want to run, strength training will help you run further, faster, and pain-free. So strength training is always my number one priority. And I every other day, and then cardio comes in many different ways. I love to walk. I do love to run. I did a Dancing with the Stars ballroom dance competition in March, which was so much fun. And I did the jive, which was super athletic and cardio. So I've continued ballroom dancing. I have an instructor. I do it once a week. And that's one of those things where, I mean, golly, I never imagined myself to be someone with a personal trainer. And that's basically what a dance instructor is, right? He's my dance coach, but I invest in me because I don't do anything else when I'm home. I don't go to movies and I don't really go shop too much. So I spend X amount of dollars once a week on this really fun athletic thing. And of course, it's healthy for my body, but it really makes me happy. It brings so much joy and I love learning and so forth. So fitness comes all the time. Stretching, I do because I don't like pain. I don't like stiffness. I stretch throughout the day. Every time my dogs walk, every time I let my dogs out of the house, I hit the ground and I stretch my hips, because runners, we know hip inflexibility, hip tightness is one of the catalysts for piriformis syndrome and sciatica, and I mean, you name it. So I build in the stretching, and then I build in strength, balance training by standing on one foot in the grocery line and when I brush my teeth. And, I work it in. People think I'm a lunatic and I'm out there exercising 4 hours a day. That's just not true, but fitness is always something on the mind. And then as far as everybody else goes, I encourage people to do what they love. Especially with my profession, people say, well, I want to lose 80 pounds, but I don't like to run. And I said, I don't care if you like to run. Who cares? What do you like to do? Do you like to swim or do karate or pickleball? Just do something. As long as you're hitting the 4 pillars of fitness: strength, cardio, flexibility, balance. That's all you need to do. I mean, just find a form of that you enjoy. If you can do it in a big section of time, great. If you can do 1 minute of push-ups in the morning and 1 minute of lunges and 1 minute of stretching, it all is cumulative. So just encouraging people to prioritize it, to make it an excuse-free mission. I will not fail in this mission. And then teach them how and make it simple, because fitness really is pretty simple, stupid.
Yeah.
I have a master's degree in the most simple, stupid science on earth. And the master sounds hoity-toity, but the field really isn't so complicated.
Well, as someone who's driven and you like to hit those goals, you probably might have been natural for you to be an entrepreneur. Talk about that a little bit.
You're right. You're right. I probably would be very fireable in a corporate environment if I were one of many, and if I didn't like something, I would speak up. And not every boss likes to be, not every boss likes to listen, right? I've recently
Right.
had an experience with that, which wasn't so pleasant, but yeah, I'm a grab the bull by the horns type of girl, and I have ideas and I like to run with them. And so being president of Fitzness International is something I became at 20. I got my trademark on Fitzness at 20, and it suits me. It suits me because I'm very enthusiastic, and as I've matured, I've I've slowed down on, oh, this bright idea, I'm going to take off with that. I settle down and think about things a little more. I think when I was in my 20s, I was a little more willy-nilly about things. But yeah, I don't tolerate excuses very well, and I don't tolerate stagnation very well. And yeah, being a CEO is kind of the only position for me.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk a little bit about that. And I'm reluctant to use the word balance because I think a lot of times it's not about balance, but knowing which plates to spin and when.
Yeah,
But when I feel like hustle culture has been abused, and I think there's a fine line between, giving it your all, but also knowing where that rest line is, because as an athlete, you know that rest makes you a better athlete. So
absolutely.
translate that into work life for a lot of people that are falling into that hustle culture trap that really ends up causing burnout, stress, mental health issues, and so on.
So I work full throttle, especially in the part of my career that puts me on stages. Whenever I'm responsible for somebody's knowledge or experience,
Yeah.
there's not an ounce of me I won't sacrifice to make sure they're getting the most out of their experience and having fun. It's funny when I'm teaching fitness or speaking, right? That's my opportunity to impart wisdom, to share compelling messages, which is so important to me. When I do a keynote and 500 people walk out of the building, I feel like most of them are going to go do better and be better. They're going to make better decisions, and that really satisfies me. However, on race day, I'm not really the messenger, right? I mean, I'm the messenger, but I'm not giving those educational lectures. But I know that if somebody hands me 15,000 people and says, Fitz, handle the start line, make sure they know what to do, know where to go, and have a good time. If I make that start line the most fun, rowdy, warm, rewarding start line they've ever attended, they'll want to come back. If I am the most fun, loving, exciting announcer at a finish line and they come through and they feel like they won freaking gold at the Olympics in front of the home team, then they're going to want to have that experience again. And so that's my opportunity to impact them and make them want to have more of those experiences. So as far as the work I do when I'm doing it, it's full throttle, relentless. I pour as much as I can. When I was sick, when I was doing cancer, I never sacrificed any, or nobody that I was working with ever missed anything. I never gave them less because I was sick. I just, I figured it out, and that was a year and a half. That was weird for me, but hopefully always top notch, rewarding for my events and my athletes. However, I also rest hardcore. I love sleep. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm excited to get back to bed. I value sleep so much when
Yeah.
I'm on the road. I mean, people in my hometown, and they say, "Oh, you're in LA, you're in all these towns, you must be out partying." And I think, have you lost your mind? Most of my races start at 6 a.m. I'm in bed at 8. I love a warm bath. I love time with my dogs. When I am not responsible for a group of people, then I rest hardcore. I enjoy my people hardcore. I have 2 dogs that I'm addicted to. And so I think that's where the balance is. I'm
Yeah.
full throttle on everything, but being full throttle on rest allows me to be full throttle and everywhere else professionally.
I get that. I do want to talk about your health battle.
Sure.
As someone who was taking care of themselves, eating right, doing all the things, how did you handle the diagnosis and were you frustrated?
Well, for sure. There's a big question mark over my head. What did I do? Did I do something? I could have been a random, right? I
Right.
don't believe there was a God in the sky that pointed at me and planted a seed of doom. Have I been a perfect person? No, but I do walk the walk. I've exercised vigorously and regularly for my whole life, and I eat healthy food. I've been a vegetarian for the great majority of my adult years. I drank a ton in college, but not in the past, couple decades.
Right.
So what did I do? I don't know, but I was scared, definitely, and I was stressed, absolutely, and boy, did I cry. I mourned the loss of my life, which I certainly thought I was dying, but I really mourned the loss of my kids' lives. Ginger and Parker were 13 and 15 at the time, and I just couldn't get past the fact that I wasn't going to see them grow up and be with them. But I did not have that why me moment. I never had the pity party because I live a few miles away from the University of Florida Hospital, which has a very large pediatric cancer unit. And those babies did nothing to deserve any sort of hardship. And so if there are babies with brain cancer and bone cancer and blood cancer, then why not me, right? And so the way I got through it was by making some damn good decisions up front. And I pat myself on the back. Had a I made some spectacular decisions, and they got me through the hardest part of my life and are set to make the rest of my life the best it could possibly be.
What specifically was your diagnosis?
It was breast cancer, and it was
Okay.
stage 2B. So I had a sparkling clean mammogram in late December of 2018. 6 weeks later, I got out of a shower at a race weekend, and I was still naked, and I rubbed my underboob. I had an itch, and I found a lump. And
Ah,
so instantly, I had my cell phone on the bathroom counter, picked it up, called the gyno. Within a week, I had an appointment, a mammogram, ultrasounds, biopsies, and I got that call from the surgeon that said, "Hey, Fitz, I'm so sorry, but you do indeed have breast cancer. It has already spread through the lymph nodes. It is running through you like wildfire, so we need to treat you urgently and aggressively." And they did.
oh my
And
goodness.
I'm cancer free now. So
Good, great.
it was rocky and rough, but we can do hard things, right?
Right. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about your writing journey.
Yeah.
So how long have you been writing? When did you decide a book was going to be something you put into the world?
Yeah, so I actually started writing articles on fitness, and I used to be a competitive kickboxer for about
Oh,
10
cool.
years. So
Yeah.
I wrote a ton of articles for those style magazines, Ultimate Athlete and Kickboxer and Black Belt and so forth. So writing's always been this other form of communication. I go blah, 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 and I speak, and then I write. I only write when I have something to say. So I'm not someone who just every day pumps out an article. When I'm on a soapbox, that's when I put pen to paper or get on my laptop. And so I've been writing my whole life. And my first book was the Everything Flat Belly Cookbook. And I think that was released in 2010. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
somewhere around there. And then I just kind of sat on it. I wanted to write more books, but life got in the way. And then when I was going through cancer care, a couple of things happened. Number one, I had to be public about what was going on because I was going to show up on stage as bald. So I told people that I had cancer, but other than that, I lied my face off for a year and a half. I just kept telling people, I'm fine. I'm fine. I just,
Mm.
I don't like pity. And my purpose in people's life is I'm a source of health and happiness, not pain and suffering. So I decided all the things that were going on behind closed doors, I should not share. I should not burden these people with it because I'd rather lift them up. And so about halfway through my treatment, when things had gone absolutely crazy. So even if you see someone going through cancer, it's hard to know what really goes on behind, or it's hard to know what the experiences are like. And I certainly wasn't warned. What I found is there's all these women with breast cancer, but nobody's talking about the absolute insanity that goes on. And what do they say? Sometimes you laugh so hard you cry.
Mm-hmm.
For me, sometimes I cried so hard that I ended up laughing. And there was all of these really funny slash hilarious experiences where I kept thinking, holy crap, people will get a kick out of this. And because I wasn't telling people what was going on, I couldn't tell them at the time. And so about halfway through my treatment, I thought, you know what? I got to tell people when I'm done and people can no longer pity me, I got to tell them about the funny stuff. And then eventually, when I had kind of wrapped my head around what was going on in my life, I thought, oi, I've actually made some really good decisions here. And if I shared these good decisions, people can go and, attack this onto the helping people live better and longer thing. And so I thought, oh, I have to share these messages. So I wrote the first book, which is a memoir. It's called My Noisy Cancer Comeback, Running at the Mouth While Running for My Life. And that's because I boarded 30 planes out of Gainesville, Florida to go announce about 30 different events while sick, and it was crazy. And the running industry plays is such a big role in this book. And I talk about LA Marathon and Big Sur and Buffalo and OC and the Wonder Woman series. And you get such a clear view of the runners and the running. And my race directors were booking me IV fluids in their towns. It was crazy. So that was the memoir. And then I also realized halfway through my treatment that, wow, this fitness thing I do is making such a difference. Even though I was brutalized by my treatment, I was down to, I lost a lot of weight and I was weak and so forth. But my doctor, he had told me, he says, Fitz, I know you're suffering, but if you were not so committed to health and fitness coming into this, you would have been hospitalized for a month. You would have had a feeding tube. There's no way you could have endured the treatment I'm giving you and still traveled the country and did all the things you're doing. So your fitness has been very powerful. And I thought, oh, yes, it has. And then, of course, when it was time for me to rebuild my scrawny little body that my mother told me I looked like I was in the Holocaust at some point, I
Oh.
did so. It's not with ease, but I knew exactly how to do it because I'm a fitness expert. And so while I was going from the grim little person my mom said looked like I was in Auschwitz. That's how she yelled. She said, "You need to eat. You look like you're in Auschwitz." I said, thanks, Mom.
Mm.
I'm doing my best, right?
Right.
But thankfully, I had the knowledge to go from sick to strong with baby steps and these really calculated efforts through chemo, through radiation, through surgery. And so that's when I decided, you know what, there's all these cancer patients, millions of us around the world, right, that are also being traumatized and just beaten up by
Mm-hmm.
cancer and its care. And so I thought I have to create a resource for those people so they know how to weaponize exercise and nutrition and complementary care and quality rest while they're going through the treatment. So the next book is Your Healthy Cancer Comeback. That's the guidebook. And then there's the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. And the books have been wildly successful, and oncologists buy them for their patients in bulk. Cancer centers buy them in patients for their bulk.
Wow.
And then it's the thing where everybody reaches out, they order on fitzness.com and they say, hey, my dad has brain cancer. Can I get him your books? And it's nice to be able to give the gift of knowledge and actually help someone you love get through it with that information. So that's how I started writing. I know I ramble on, I get too excited.
No, that's great.
Um, yeah, it's the Cancer Comeback series. And I mean, whoever thought I'd be writing about cancer?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did that happen?
Not where you figured you would be going. Have you toyed with the idea of writing something else, a different genre or a different topic?
Yeah, so I actually am probably about 60% of the way through the next book, which will be uh, a fitness, a wellness book for the general population. So,
Cool. Yeah.
yeah, which is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and shame on me for not getting it done. But the places that I write on airplanes when I'm forced to shut up and sit down and be still. So
Yeah.
yeah, I get on a plane next week and I'll make more progress.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is hard to sit down and you have to, at least for me, the writing, it has to kind of strike.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Have to be motivated.
so what else? You have on your bio mental fortitude. So talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. So I was born with a happy disposition. My mom says I was conceived at Disney World, which was probably TMI, but I was born with as a joy addict, and that goes a long way. And I'm a hunter, and not of animals, but I work hard. I want things, I go get them. This is how I operated, and it's instinctual. Lucky me. But there's so many people who don't have those instincts.
Hmm.
And with cancer, perspective, number one, paid off again. Because I wasn't a baby with cancer and it wasn't my baby with cancer, I thought, I can do this, right?
Wow.
This is not the end of the world. And so that perspective went a long way. And I tell you, you see it, I'm sure you do, where friends get on Facebook and they say, pray for me. I sprained my ankle, or pray for me. I fell while running. Look at a picture of my knee and all the blood. And I think, really, you're going to eat up all the prayers on a sprained ankle. Um, so yeah, I want people to have perspective, and then I think pursuing your passions brightens everything up. And so for me, it was my kids, my career, and for you, if it's music or running or art or I don't know, underwater basket weaving, I think no matter what's going on in your life, to always keep those passions as a part of everything you do. If you love running and your house burns down, okay, as long as your humans get out of there, fine. You can go for a run and go cry about your house burning down, but that run will make it better. That
Yeah.
run will make the whole situation better. And so I think mental fortitude is you making decisions to adopt habits that lift you up when on a good day and on the bad days.
Very encouraging. Tell people where they can go to connect with you, learn more about your morning mile program, and find your books.
Yeah, thank you. So fitzness.com is my home base for everything. That's FITZNESS. And there's tons of free resources for runners there. There's this strength training for runners workout. There's a whole bunch of other free workout videos. There's free recipes and the exact formula for weight loss, all sorts of great content. My race calendar is there, which I hope everybody, if you are listening to the show and you show up at a race I announce, please come and get a hug and tell me you heard me on Trina's podcast for certain. And then I'm on social media. I am at Fitzness on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and I frequent LinkedIn a bunch. And if you follow, I promise quality content in return. But I would much rather have friends than followers. So please reach out. Morning Mile is super easy. It's morningmile.com. And I would love to get your favorite kids moving in the morning. So whether you're a parent wanting to get your own kids started, or you own a business, or you work at a company and you think you'd like to sponsor some schools in your area, that would be such a gift. I think all of your listeners know what a blessing running in is,
Yeah.
and to give kids the opportunity to start every day in an active way is a real privilege. And what else? I don't know. The books are at fitzness.com. The books are also at Amazon. But if you come to Fitzness, I sign them all and I send them in pretty wrapping with special gifts included, so I can make all your favorite friends or you feel special.
I love it. Sounds fantastic. I'm glad you're thriving and you've made it through some murky times and encouraging other people to do the same. Thanks so much. Come back anytime.
Thanks, Trina.
All right, y'all can follow along. You can link over to watch and listen to whatever platform you prefer from runradio.net. Thanks so much.